Again, if one's employing such tools to meditate on, and the desire is to focus on each mentality, the consciousness of Chabad, the emotions of Chagat, the behaviors of Nehim, as Hasidut in general describes the spheros in regards to our intellectual, emotional, and behavioral bodies, okay, great, why not? But to think of himself as doing big things and focusing on the light alone, not so much. Those who go on the path of truth, their lives are filled with problems and difficulties. From the side of our nature, we want to rise and rise, go from strength to strength. But what's wrong with the dissension? Light and darkness, as the benefit of the light is noticed within the darkness. A very important principle by the Bala Sulam is that the greatest time of danger for an individual in their inner work is during the aliyah, the elevation. The greatest sins are done in a state of elevation, not dissension like we may think. Why? When one is high on the light, so to speak, they may forget the Creator, or even worse, think of themselves to have merited the light by their own work, as opposed to accepting that anything they have is only by means of the Creator's infinite kindness and mercy. And that's why they're experiencing the sweetness in the Torah and the mitzvot, not because they did some major work on themselves. And thus they would blemish His gifts if they were to do this, by not appreciating and thanking the source of all for what He gives. This is why it is extremely important in a time of elevation to actualize the lights, the inspiration, the fire, and put it into mitzvot, thought, speech, and action. Create a movement, put the fire into the world, brand Hashem's name somewhere, somehow, some way by means of Torah and mitzvot. If one just stays back and enjoys the lights and doesn't do anything with it other than sitting with it, then I've heard the Rebbe describe it as falling into the category of demons and evil spirits, meaning aspects of our consciousness that are not in line with actualizing goodness. Something that stops us in between. We can do so good, and yet we fall back and just fall to the high and enjoy. You gotta do. So, when someone's in an elevation, they should renew one's covenant, one's relationship with the Creator. In a time of dissension, a person shouldn't feel failure, depression, low-spirited, in that he doesn't have elevation. Rather, he should make use of this condition to pray, to cry out, to grow in his connection with the source of all, to grow in emunah, for the Creator, to bring him out of the pit, to cry out for the Creator, to help him out of his darkness. The pit, of course, representing the lack of connection, the lack of emunah. Michael asks, so should I ask and expect from God? I've heard from the Rebbe Shlita, a general principle in our inner work, being ask for the absolute maximum, particularly as it pertains to spirituality. We want maximum connection. Shem, give me dveikut, give me the ultimate connection with you. And we should be happy with the minimum. Ask for max, but acknowledge that whatever you're given, whatever you have in the moment, is exactly what the Creator thinks you should have. And therefore, sameach b'chelki, happy with my portion. That's hard work. That is an opportunity to employ emunah. But that's the general principle. In our prayers, don't hold back. Ask for it all. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says to Rabbi Natan, who he noticed was missing a button on his jacket, did you pray to Hashem to fix your button? He said, well, it's just a button. He said, it was crazy for him to imagine that there was an opportunity to not unify with the Creator and ask for something as simple as a button. Why not? You should ask for everything and be happy with the minimum, whatever we're given. Hope that answers your question. Let's continue. There is a foundational principle of Judaism that nothing is random. There's right and left in Judaism, and right generally, as it pertains to our relationship with the Creator, right is the love that draws us forward. And the left is considered that which deflects and pushes us back. Hashem pushes us back at times, in order that we are drawn even closer, as the benefit of the light is noticed in the darkness. Within the pain itself, within the shock and the turmoil, person needs to focus on the Creator, as He is found within the pain, within the negative thoughts. And thus when a person is pained, they may long for connection back to Source. So too, says the Baal Shem Tov, when an alien thought comes during prayer or learning, one should use it as a stepping stone to connect to who sent the thought, the Creator. He's the one that sent the alien thought or the alien desire. He is given the opportunity to correct these seemingly damaging and corrupted thoughts and desires and raise it up, give it back to the Creator and connect to Him. By metaphor, when a son returns from school and learns with his father, and the father asks him all sorts of questions and difficulties, it's not in order to damage him, rather develop and help him progress. Hanukkah is also on the weekday, when work, malacha, can be done, aside from the 30 minutes after lighting the candles. That should be a time of enjoying the candle, meditating, praying for the maximum connection and all that we need, both for ourselves and more importantly, for all of Klal Yisrael, for all of the world. This is coming to say that we need to sanctify the mundane. The fact that Hanukkah mostly happens during the week and we can still do Malacha. It's not a Chol HaMoed like other high holidays. Therefore, to connect and sanctify all matters. This is a big work, as being the light worker that is a Jew, Bnei Yisrael. To acknowledge there is nothing but the Creator. There is no such thing as Sitra Achra. No despair in the world. No true dissensions and fallings in the world. As in truth, they are all vessels for elevation. So if all the suffering are vessels to elevate, then there's no true dissension. There might seem to be stops on the road, which is also related to Chanukah. Chaniya, Chanu. Park, Ko, here. Park here. Reflect on the year that passed. Reflect on the year that you want to draw, what's to come. Look inside. See the inner work for what it is. And decide for oneself. What do you want? What do we want? Hopefully, Creator. Says Rabbeinu Bal HaSulam, quoting the Baal Shem Tov, that one who says there is such a thing as Sitra Achra in the world is an idol worshiper. Aside from the Creator, there is nothing else. He is the absolute good, who loves us with a supernal, perfect love. Therefore, we need to remember this. Think about it again and again, in order to connect and strengthen our connection with Hashem, as He wants us to connect to Him. He wants us close, and this is done by means of the lowly states. There's no other way. To go to the peaks and troughs of our inner work. So the Rebbe Shita says that a person needs to say something along the lines of, my dear Father in heaven, I know that you gave me this dissension and all the suffering I've been through in the world. I know this is from your love, and I thank you for all that you've sent me. Please return me and bring me close, as I know there is nothing else other than you. And I have no strength whatsoever to truly connect to you. So please save me. Give me the strength. The outer definition of our lives is Torah and mitzvot. But the inner intention needs to be acquisition of similarity to the Creator and thank Him for every single matter. And relaying a prayer that I just shared from the words of the Rebbe Shita is an example of that inner intention, the true purpose of our lives is to elevate and connect ourselves to Source, to build ourselves in loving the other and building an atmosphere to construct this love. And perhaps this is one of the ideas regarding the Or Haganuz, the hidden light the Creator stored away for the righteous in the future. Ganuz is spelled Gan, meaning garden, and Uz, Vav and Zayin, which is the gematria of 13. The gematria of 13 is both Ahava, love, and Echad, one. It is the light of perfection, the light of Mashiach, the light of Geula, the light of redemption, the ultimate light of total union with the Creator. Hence, Ganuz can be interpreted to being Gan Echad, the garden of one, or Gan Ahava, the garden of love, being the highest states of consciousness, loving the other as yourself and loving our Creator. I won't get so into it, but in Chassidus, Zot Chanukah in particular, the last day of Chanukah, which is a culmination of all the lights from all the Chanukas ever in existence to that exact point, is extremely high, and according to Chassidus, is sometimes compared to Yom Kippur. And relative to this idea of the organuz, if we're to interpret this as being the state of consciousness that we call the garden of love, the garden of oneness, that sounds to me like the light of Mashiach, the ultimate or yechida, the unified consciousness where anything and everything that's ever happened, happens and will happen is only the Creator's goodness. And to be involved and ensconced in that day to day, to draw from that consciousness on Hanukkah into the now, to pray for that. And this is perhaps why the organus is connected to Hanukkah, as described. That we desire to draw the light of oneness and love, and the desire can only be manifest by means of the awareness of our invalid nature, being our egoism. But one needs to know, the more serious they are in their inner work, the body, being the ego self, comes with questions, challenges, and difficulties in order to create the need for Hashem in a person. The body, the ego, is employing a mechanism in order to make us cry out. If it wasn't hard for us, we wouldn't need the Creator. We would just go up and up and up and think of ourselves as God. God forbid. And that's why the true success in life is based on the two true values of Emunah and Ahava, faith and love. And to come to the position of not being successful in itself is successful, as He is drawing us closer to admitting that we need the Creator, nothing more. Again, the awareness that I am not successful to rise above my ego is in itself success, because who is even aware of that state of being? That in itself is a great success, which is why, as bitter as it sounds, there is no state of being more precious to the Creator than a person's feeling of absolute despair in regards to his inner work, as that can inspire the true prayer, the umkadaliba, from the depths of the heart. And if a person successfully reaches this true prayer, where they admit they can't live without Hashem's help to bring them out of their egoism, then they experience the miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim, of exiting Egypt. Or in our case, the miracle of defeating the Greeks, despite being the minority and the weak ones. Hence, we must always be focused towards Hashem and ask ourselves all the time, what does the Creator want from me? To meditate and imagine the Creator's greatness before me and arouse a feeling of His greatness and awe. A Jew doesn't need to do matters in order to find grace in the eyes of others. We're not here to impress anyone, rather only to give pleasure to the Creator for following His will. We must find chen, grace, in Elohim and man, meaning the Creator first, and by means of finding grace in the Creator's eyes, that means we come to a pleasant state of consciousness, being the state of giving. We find chen in His eyes, that means He has grace upon us and therefore is giving us the strength and capacity to reach those higher states of giving. That's called grace. And by definition of reaching that level by means of the chen, so too will be pleasant in other people's eyes as well, because we'll be giving and loving as we should be. Chen is also the same letters as Noach, which is said to be an acronym for Ner Chanukah, Nun Chet, candles of Chanukah. By means of the intentions we spoke about in this lesson, being the acknowledgement of the invalidness of the ego and contrast the desired altruism, may we find grace, chen, in the eyes of Hashem, to bestow us the strength to scream out to Him more and more, connecting deeper and deeper until we ourselves reach a state of Ner Chanukah, Ner Hashem, Nishmat Adam, so we can reach a state of Noach, of being at rest just like He is, because we want to be in similarity form. The law is every branch wants to be like its root. We're the olive branch that wants to be like the Creator. We want to come to Shalom Olam, as described. A state of rest, of perfection, becoming one with Him, coming to Shalom Olam, us ourselves being in Olam, coming to Shalom, forever being with Him, the garden of oneness. meaning to be in a state of consciousness where we're one with Him, to be in the garden of love. Hanukkah Sameach, Happy Hanukkah. May we all merit to reveal the great lights that are already within. All the best.